What is going on? It's Alex coming back at you with another video, and today we are breaking down every team's pick in the first round of the 2024 NFL Draft. If you are new, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. You guys know how to use YouTube. We're going to be streaming all 3 days. That's right, me and Broshma, we actually do a collab stream over there, so feel free to go check us out. Again, we love to be able to sit here every single time that one of these picks happens. We don't do overreactions because that's kind of stupid. Our reactions are genuine. We don't repurpose our footage. So, because I know a lot of YouTubers try to be like, oh, just so they can end up clipping it and then making some more money off of it. We ain't like that. If we actually go like, oh, it's because maybe we might be dumb, but we're cavemen dumb, and at least we're genuinely cavemen dumb. Let's get right into this, though. We're going to be breaking it down by division. Why do I do that? Because it's a simple layout, and honestly, it's more fun to talk about how guys are going to be going against each other. Otherwise, I'd be talking about it anyways. So, start off with the AFC North. We go north, and then, south, I think, and then east, and then west. So keep that in mind. You'll be able to skip through this anyways. Shout out to the Draft Network for pretty much making a lot of these jersey swaps. So got to give them a shout out right now. We'll put their information in the description, even though they don't need it. Shout out to Paige DeMarcos. She's an absolute beast, CEO of TDN. But Steelers get Troy Fautanu, who slipped to pick number 20. He has potential knee concerns, but that's more of like the middle to end of his career. Based on the way we drafted Darnell Washington, it looks like we are actually willing to roll the dice on that for a very good player. When you end up seeing how I reacted to it, I wasn't over the moon about it, but that's only because I ended up missing out on my favorite player, Terrion Arnold. Besides that, this is an incredible pick. C is like, it's okay. B is like, oh, I like that pick. And A range is like, oh, wow, that's a really good pick. And there are some A pluses in here because I thought they were phenomenal. But this is an A minus. By the way, might as well shout out the new sponsor of the show. We're going to be wearing them all 3 days of the draft and win streaks. You don't even have to put in your bank account information, anything like that. You actually get to be able to just pick games just like a normal streaks on the ESPN Fantasy app. Top 100 players who score per week end up getting cash prizes. So you never have to put in your bank account information. You don't have to put anything out there. It's the reason I didn't partner with them sooner, but feel free to go and use code HAILMARY Sports when you do so. But let's continue on with the video. I'm very happy for the Steelers. The worst case scenario, we get ourselves a high upside guard. He works really well on the move as well, which I love to see with our new offensive system. Now we got the Baltimore Ravens going at Nate Wiggins at pick 30. I think this is a fantastic move for the team. The offensive line talent for them, not necessarily enticing, right? So they go best player available. Nate Wiggins is one of the best coverage corners. Again, shout out to TDN for the jersey swap so quick. But, he's a talented corner, one of the highest IQ. He ended up moving up my board to about like 26. So, really good spot to take him right there at 30 for a team that does need defensive back help when the offensive line was depleted. Then we got the Bengals, another A grade. Again, there's a lot of these picks I thought were really awesome. Marius Mims was, like I said in the moment, as a Steelers fan, my biggest worry would be them getting Johnny Newton because I think he'd shred through our interior offensive line. And I think the best move from a Steelers point of view, the one that I'd be happiest about for the Bengals doing, that's still really good for the Bengals, was Marius Mims because he needs a little bit of time to develop. But, he's a mammoth of a man. As long as he stays healthy, he's going to end up being a really good tackle for the Bengals. I'm very happy for them. Again, it's an A grade. It's fantastic. Gets to learn from Trent Brown. He doesn't even need to start right away. Then we got the Browns doing jack shit because they didn't have a first-round pick. But Chicago Bears end up getting Caleb and Rome. Great 1-2 punch. So happy to see that, by the way. It warms my heart to be able to, have your Keenan Allen replacement already, who's learning from Keenan to be Keenan. I think that's fantastic. Caleb, of course, going to be QB1. The only reason it's not an A+ is because I didn't think it was like insane, but it's an incredible draft. When you have 2 top 10 picks, you should come out with 2 really good players. Maybe I could have given an A+. Who gives a damn? It's a really, really damn good draft for the Bears so far. Pohl said he didn't need too many picks, and honestly, so far, I do not blame him. Now we got the Green Bay Packers going Jordan Morgan. We've been so dead set on Cooper DeJean. There's something going on with it. I don't know if the medicals, people just don't trust it. a leg fracture. I mean, it's cool that you can run in drills, but can you take full contact? Maybe that's the reason we see Cooper DeJean slip, but the Packers have 2 round 2 picks. Could end up seeing him still go there. Jordan Morgan, that was the one offensive lineman that I was like, hey, this fits the philosophy of the Packers. Again, shout out to TDN for the draft, for the jersey swap. It's a tackle guard hybrid. So I think he actually ends up playing interior offensive line, but potentially ends up playing tackle just like Zach Tom did. I'm happy with that. He was my number 5 player on the board at the time. Now we got the Detroit Lions going Terry and Arnold. Once again, shout out to TDN for the jersey swap. This was the best move in the entire draft. My number 3 player, getting to see him slip to 24 broke my heart for many reasons, including the fact that he's not a Pittsburgh Steeler. But the Lions do it again. He's a fantastic product. Carlton Davis, Terry and Arnold, Brian Branch, that secondary has a lot of really good players on it. And I'm so happy for him. Like, that's a great spot to be. And he's just the type of personality that I could imagine. I ended up predicting that trade with Dallas to move back and for Detroit to move up to that spot. Of course, did I get either of those picks right? No, but at least it's sometimes fun to put your hat on guessing a trade right, but this is the best pick in the first round. Then we got the Minnesota Vikings. I would give them a higher grade because they ended up not having to give up a ton to get J.J. McCarthy, and then they also got Dallas Turner, which is phenomenal. A+ grade right there. But again, they gave so much draft capital to get this. I mean, like multiple third round pick, 4th round pick in the future. Like, they have nothing next year. They're really just going balls to the wall. And, you end up getting 2 really good players. So still A, fantastic, or A-, fantastic. But again, you spent so much to get there. Like, so much. So still great on you for not having to give up a ton of draft capital just to get J.J. McCarthy. We didn't get fooled. Like, JJ still went pretty damn high. It's just, how high did he go? This was my dream fit for JJ McCarthy. Very happy to see him go there. Jacksonville Jaguars go Brian Thomas Jr. Was hoping to get a better jersey swap. Unfortunately, did not do so. So I ended up opting for the standard, but it was what I did in my 7th round mock draft when I dropped it. Still happy for the case. I would have given it an A+. Maybe I could have, but I don't want to be that guy to give A+ for everything. A is fantastic grade. Ended up moving back as well, acquiring extra draft capital. I think A.D. Mitchell might be the more true wide receiver 1, but Brian Thomas is far from a poor consolation prize. Fantastic move there by Balky for not getting aggressive and just being a little bit more conservative and being able to, get a good snipe there. Then we got the Colts going Latu in the first round. Shout out to Bring the Juice. Feel free to follow them if you haven't already. Latu. I mean, he was one of the best edge rushers in the class. I think he was number 14 or 15 on my overall board. So at 15, the value is proper. His approach to the game is incredible in terms of his mental preparation. And the big thing is the Colts have 2 edge rushers coming up on contract extensions, or not, but coming up on the end of their contracts nonetheless. And also, they need someone to be a true alpha. 4 dudes with 7 sacks, but none of them are true edge ones. Latu is. So, still a really solid pick. It's just, a bit early for me compared to, the guys like Quinion Mitchell on the board, who I thought were phenomenal, Terry and Arnold, that I thought were just a little bit better, but still a fantastic move. Maybe I should have given him a B+, but, we have multiple days in order to get that going. Then we got the Texans doing absolutely nothing. Apparently they're trying to get back into the first round. We'll see what they do. Titans then go J.C. Latham at pick 7. It's not a bad move. It's just not a good move, in my opinion. Really early for him. Worried that he'll have to play a guard in the short run, and I'm just praying for Will Levis's blindside at this moment. Of course, they got blindsided by Joe Alt going earlier. It's kind of a very tough position for them to be in. I don't blame them. J.C. Latham's still a great tackle. It's just, I think you needed something a little bit more surefire, but you certainly could end up walking out of here with one of, if not the best offensive tackle. He's a great player. He really is. Then we got the New Orleans Saints going after Tali Fuaga. Obviously, Tali Fuaga was my number 2 tackle coming into the year. I ended up thinking he should transition to guard. I said he would be a pretty solid starting tackle, and I said he might be a Hall of Fame level guard. So, they've done it before with Andres Pete. So if it doesn't work out, you're still getting yourself a high level offensive guard. Shout out to Tali. Again, one of the guys who who's one of my dudes coming into the year. So shout out to him. Going to make some good money there. The Saints ended up getting really solid value for someone who's going to play a solid offensive line position for them. My only concern why I didn't give it an A or an A plus is because can he stick at tackle? I don't know. He'll be an upgrade. Whether Ramchick is alive or not, or Trevor Penning is on the field, you're going to get better. The question is it good enough? Then we got the Buccaneers going Graham Barton. It was the pick that I predicted for him. I have Barton around like 64 on my board, or it was in the 60s. But if I had a board exclusively for the Buccaneers, he probably would have been top 10 for the most realistic picks that would have been there. Maybe he would have been my top 5 for them realistically. So I'm very happy with that. They obviously get themselves a really talented, very athletic center / guard prospect, and they value that. It matches exactly what I would want for them. And Sua Opeta is going to train this guy up. I'm a big fan of what's going to happen there. At pick number 8, this is the big one. I decided not to give an F here, but I probably should have. The Falcons went Michael Penix. Michael Penix, he's a interesting guy, right? He's going to be older. I mean, I would not be surprised to see Kirk Cousins try to get traded out or try to find a way to get out of town. They got blindsided by that. We all did. I mean, why would you if JJ McCarthy happened, okay, you know what? They got a developmental guy. But Michael Penix, I mean, sure, the high-end throws are ridiculous. They're jaw-dropping. But he won't start for 2 years, minimum. It's 2 years, I think, of $50 million each, fully guaranteed. And then $10 million in that third year, so maybe you just cut him then. But he's going to be 27 when he starts. 27. We're not developing J.J. McCarthy here. We're developing an older prospect. That's what's mind-boggling to me. I don't understand. I think it's an awful way to start off the draft as a new regime there under Raheem Morris. I am not a fan at all of what they're doing. I should have given it an F, but I'm just trying to be polite because, if you need footwork and technique adjustments, Kirk Cousins is not a bad mentor. I'm really trying to justify not giving an F, and I'm not doing a good job, am I? I should have given it an F. But we, again, have a couple more days to adjust that figure. Xavier Leggett ended up being moved up by the Carolina Panthers. So, I thought that A.D. Mitchell was the better option. Leggett's a hometown type of guy. I know that the Panthers media team were trying to interview him there at Mobile. I didn't think he was really worth a true first-round pick. He was my number 32 overall pick to the Chiefs in my final mock draft, but, at least I got the pick and the person right, but not the team. He's a really solid player. I just don't like the fact he doesn't like to block, but hell, this is going to be an upgrade nonetheless for the Panthers. They got that 5th-year contract as well, which in a very expensive wide receiver market is very lucrative. Then we got the Patriots going Drake May. Maybe I should have had this in draft order, come to think of it, for the first round. But, for the next 2 days, it's going to make a lot more sense. Drake May ended up going at number 3 to the Patriots. That's as good as you can ask for. I actually had Jaden Daniels above Drake May, and I gave Drake May a higher grade, the pick itself, but not Jaden Daniels' pick. And that's because I was just so proud of the Patriots for not going J.J. McCarthy. It was more so the opportunity cost. So Drake May, hopefully he gets some offensive line help, maybe some receiver help, but we'll see what happens come tomorrow. Then we got the New York Jets going Olu Fashanu. I'm so proud of the Jets for doing this as well, sticking to their guns, getting a top-tier offensive lineman. I started losing faith in them, and, I caved in thinking of that Chargers and Jets connection there through their front offices, but, this is awesome. They ended up getting some extra draft capital as well from Minnesota, and they ended up getting, in my opinion, one of the only other starting tackles in the draft. Then we got the Miami Dolphins going Chop Robinson. Again, shout out to TDN for the jersey swap here. But for me, I felt like this was much more of a panic move. All the edge rushers essentially came off the board. This team is a little bit worried about the health of their starting edge rushers, and they ended up panicking and going after a player who's a DPR. Granted, when your other players are healthy, this is one of the best positions or the best teams for Chop Robinson to be on because great hand technicians, guys who can stop the run as well. So he doesn't need to be a legit first round full overall edge rusher, and he can truly focus on being his best self. So this is one of my favorite spots for him, come to think of it, and that's why I gave it a C+, even though he was much more down the board for me based on his limited role for a lot of teams in the short run. Then we got the Bills doing nothing except trading out twice the Bills ended up getting some good draft capital there. And, it's a team that didn't have very much. It was certainly a pretty projectable thing to expect. Jayden Daniels went at number 2. I gave it a B+. They had to go after quarterback. For me, I think it was a little bit early to go after QB, but, you have to do what you have to do. I'm not going to give a team a ton of brownie points for doing something that they should have done. I'm a tough cookie. It's still a great pick because they need a quarterback, and Jayden Daniels is probably the most day one ready out of the ones available. And this team, I mean, you still have some really good talent on there. They're still day one ready. So I'm excited to see what the Commanders can do. Then we got the Dallas Cowboys going Tyler Guyton through a trade back. Again, got that trade back right, but not the player. But, for me, I had a little bit of an issue with this. I still gave it an A-. I'm actually double checking if I gave it an A-. I don't feel like I did. No, I gave it a B. It's a B. For the Cowboys fans that get butthurt, they're going to think that I'll let you think it's an A-. It's a B grade. I knew that I was going to get screwed with the copy and paste one day. But this is a B grade from me because my big concern with it is, one, you have to move a raw prospect to left tackle. That's a blind side. But not only that, if he fails or struggles, it's going to be very hard to have a 6'8" left guard. You're essentially cornering yourself into forcing Tyler Smith to be a left guard, which is going to be great. But left tackle is a lot more valuable. So I'm a little bit worried about that. Again, a B grade. Eagles end up snagging Quinyon Mitchell. Again, thank you, TDN, for the jersey swap. But Quinyon Mitchell ended up slipping. I gave it an A+. I debated going just for a pure A, but, the top 10 player on my board at a massive position of need. Slay, is the perfect mentor for Quinyon Mitchell as well. I thought that the A++ move would have been Terry and Arnold because of that slot versatility early on. But hell, I mean, it's not a player to complain about by any stretch. It's fantastic. You didn't have to give up anything, and you got your corner one for the future. That New York Giants ended up going Malik Neighbors here. It's the best move they could have done. Proud of them for doing it. JJ McCarthy would have been my other move. I would have went, and it was what I predicted for him. Ultimately, it just depends if you trust Daniel Jones to be able to utilize Malik. I don't really think he is, but at the same time, there's still more rounds in this draft where you can get some extra competition. With Drew Lock there, it is what it is, but at least you're going best player available for your team, and maybe that would have been J.J. McCarthy, but Malik Neighbors is far from an issue. Niners ended up going Ricky Pearsall. A little bit confusing. I mean, I know that Broshma was a fan of that, but for me, I'm not on board with it. Every year, the Niners always, the thing is, the Niners director of scouting, RJ Gillen, he's the reason I ended up getting into scouting for the most part. So shout out to him for that. Obviously got to talk to RJ back in 2020 when I was, just doing sport management at SMU. But, it's funny that the guy who essentially got me into scouting is the one who's on the team that always perplexes me every year. And then they always get one player on day 2 and maybe 2 players on day 3 that I really like. And those end up being amazing players. So that's why the Niners somehow continue to survive, even though they don't have the best track record. So shout out to them. But Ricky Pearsall certainly starts ticking the time bomb, so to speak, on a trade for Ayuk. I thought it was going to happen today, but I mean, I know it could just be Jawan Jennings' replacement here. I just highly doubt it. They're probably trying to create some leverage or some form of, hey, we don't need you in contract negotiations. I don't think that's the smartest thing to do. Ayuk is already proven to be semi-temperamental. So unless you're getting rid of him, which I assume they are, this would be, if they end up keeping Ayuk, maybe I increase the grade a little bit, but you're essentially replacing Ayuk with Pearsall, and I'm just not fully on board with that idea. Now we got the Seahawks going Byron Murphy. I know a lot of people will get kind of grouchy about the fact that, they didn't move back, and, there's certainly some reasoning to that, but Byron Murphy is an incredible defensive interior player. He was a top 10 player on my board at number 8 overall. He's just somebody who brings crazy level of speed, finesse, power, and he's from a smaller stature, but this team got to see that every single year with Aaron Donald. Not saying they're the same by any stretch, but for the value at mid-round 1, far from a slouch of a pick, man. It's a really good one. Just maybe if you could move back and get some extra draft capital, I maybe would have increased it. Then we got the Rams going Jared Verse. Fantastic jersey edit. This is not by TDN, but good job to whoever did that. He's as good as you could probably ask for. Again, it's just that perfect complement for Byron Young, and he brings the power that Byron Young does not have. and Byron Young brings the speed that Jared Verse is a little bit inconsistent on play-by-play. So I love that combination. I did not expect for the Rams to stick and pick as a defender, but fantastic. Fantastic. I'm such a huge fan of that for him. Then we got the Cardinals going Marvin Harrison Jr. and Darius Robinson. Marvin was a fantastic pick. I know that Makai's going to be butthurt, but, all love there, brother. Darius Robinson, though, I feel like you just have so much better value down the board. There are some really good players like there. I would have gone maybe Tyler Guyton. That's a true right tackle that you can, develop. I would have just probably gone after that route, or Johnny Newton would have been like my other one, but apparently Johnny could just be an abrasive personality. We'll see what happens where he goes. That will kind of tell us exactly the type of person he is, but the talent, undeniable. I thought the Cardinals still did a good job. Darius Robinson's still a big need. I gave him a C+ for the pick. Good player, just a little bit of a reach in my opinion compared to what they could have gotten. Maybe a trade back for him would have been better, but still solid. Chiefs traded up for Xavier Worthy. That's why it's a C instead of a C+. Cool jersey edit. Thank you for being able to be put on the thumbnail for that. But Xavier Worthy, nonetheless, is a talented receiver. I just thought that, hey, you're getting Hollywood Brown, in my opinion, a worse version of Hollywood Brown when you have Hollywood Brown on your team. So it's like we have Hollywood Brown at home, pairing up with Hollywood Brown. I'm just not a huge fan of that. I mean, especially for having to move up for it too. It's just not my cup of tea personally. It's going to add a nice speed element to this team, but at 165, he should have that speed. I don't know how. I mean, at least he has a guy who can throw it to him. That's awesome. But with all the other receiving weapons on the board, I am a little bit confused. But then we got the Chargers going Joe Alt. I thought it was a B+. It's a great player. It's just, can he transition to right tackle? I'm not so confident in that. Otherwise, if I were, this would be in that A range because you got to protect your guy. The receiving core is still pretty damn suspect, though. The Raiders ended up going Brock Bowers, the big surprise of the first round, besides Michael Penix, of course. Brock Bowers is a fantastic tight end. They went best player available. They didn't like what happened in terms of the board falling that way, but 21 personnel is a thing. Michael Mayer's a great blocker. I think Bowers is a very underrated blocker, but he's going to be more of that receiving weapon. You look at the receiving core, it's not as good as we once thought. Devontae Adams ain't getting any younger either. You do need to have something a little bit more reliable, and there's other quarterbacks in this draft that you can take a swing on. No need to force the 7th quarterback because all 6 went in the top 12. And then to end off the video, we got the Denver Broncos. They went Bo Nix, and you're going to be like, B+, Alex, that's a typo. No, it's not. Simply put, I was a closeted Bo Nix fan. I mean, I've talked about it several times. That's why I didn't do a quarterbacks video. Like, legitimately, I have some very strong opinions in this class, and people don't like it. And I'm not really in the mood. I have a board that you get to see every time I do a mock draft. You can see it the whole time, but for me, I didn't really want to overly publicize the fact that I love Bo Nix because I'm not in the mood to deal with it. Like, hate to say it, but Bo Nix is a talented quarterback. I liked him more every time I watched him. I dropped him down my board because of prospect fatigue, and he still graded out technically higher, but I ended up putting him 1 spot below Drake May. Call it as it is. But I think he brings a super high floor to this team. I think that Zach Wilson will not beat him out at all. I think Denver got themselves a starting quarterback for a minimum of 5 to 10 years. I think Bo Nix might end up being a better quarterback than the quarterbacks taken before him, except Caleb Williams. This is a great location for him to be. I trust Sean Payton. So very excited for that. Maybe should have given it an A or an A+, just because I love Denver getting that. But it is QB6 at pick 12 at the end of the day. So that's going to be the video. Thank you so much for watching. I love y'all. See you on the far side.